TDS, and all of their towers. There's so many in the game, but how many of them do you really use? I mean, like, there's Accelerator, Commander, DJ, Farm. Basically, in every game you use those. That's if you have them. Then there's like Golden Mini, sometimes Ranger, sometimes Medic. Point is, a lot of these you don't really touch. Some of them are really fun to use, but unfortunately, not all of them are viable. So I think, you know what? Might as well just talk about towers that I think need buffs more than the rest of these. Well, actually, let me point out some ones that I won't be bringing in game. That would be Rocketeer. This thing's absolute trash. I never use it. And I guess I could say the rest are fine where they are. Like, I'm not going to be arguing that Paintballer needs a buff because it's not supposed to be good. But yeah, let me grab a loadout real quick. There we go. I got this loadout that I've probably hidden because I'm really evil and I'm going to actually make you see why I think these towers need a buff. Yep, I'm just that terrible. But yeah, let me hop on this map, and I'm playing on Molten mode because these towers, like, they're not terrible towers, but they do need buffs for a reason. These first few waves, I'm going to farm as usual. Okay, I think it's about time for our first defense, and first tower's an engineer. Now, I don't know if anybody's that surprised by it, but I guess it could be confusing for some, because engineer is literally engineer. It's like the highest DPS tower in the game. But I'm not really the first person to point it out. Engineer just doesn't really do what a lot of people want it to. And by want it to, I mean be like completely outstanding. Like, just think about it. How many people that have Accelerator use it? Everyone. Everybody that has Accelerator uses it because Accelerator is just great. Engineer, on the other hand, honestly, I've played public matches, and it's a lot rarer to see the Engineer. Now, that could be because Engineer costs 4,500 gems, so less people have it, but even then, still. Personally, I don't really use the Engineer all that much. For it being the most expensive tower in the game, it's honestly kind of underwhelming. Considering the fact that Accelerator, like, when buffed by Commander and with a DJ and all of that, literally does a lot better than Engineer. Despite Engineer costing more, yeah, I think that's pretty much the biggest issue with it. Now, I should repeat, I'm not calling the tower bad, it just should be better. Now, I'm gonna get a few upgrades on it here. This is kind of the nice thing about it, is that early on, this thing doesn't just suck. Okay, well, neither does a lot of the stuff people use anyways. I more so mean that it's not really overpriced, so you can have this thing be good early game, and you can have it be good late game. Which is probably kind of the balancing idea of why, like, it's not that amazing. The devs were like, yeah, it'll not overpower 8 accelerators, but you can use it early game. Well, you know what also works? Golden Cowboy. And then you can even save space by not bringing a farm. Let me get this improved blueprints upgrade. With 2 sentries, boss is no problem. We also get hidden detection now. Oh yeah, yet another weakness of the Engineer. Doesn't have hidden detection for a while. But yeah, I think overall, it just needs to be a lot better late game. Honestly, something like Sentry Expert from BTD 6 would be really cool. That one has multi-purpose sentries, so it has bomb sentries, laser sentries, ice sentries. Imagine if the Engineer could have multiple types of sentries. Probably too big of a rework, so just an overall DPS increase and probably better missiles would do the trick. That should be about everything that is needed to be said about the Engineer. Now, our next tower, let's put down this. Commando. This thing, it's one of the first event towers, the first one being Gladiator, but unlike Gladiator, this thing is a disaster. Look at the amount of damage it's doing. I paid 1,600 for that. 1,600! Had I paid like 400 more dollars, I could have afforded a minigunner. Because I think minigunners cost 2,000. If it doesn't, whatever. Literally, this Engineer right here is a far better pick. Because it'll end up doing similar damage with its sentry to this thing, except like over $1,000 less. That's not really the biggest issue. It's the fact that, like, okay, boom, upgrade. Let's look at this missile damage. That was like 4. Let's upgrade it again here. What is it gonna do now? This thing is doing 8 DPS for the price of an accelerator. I could have had an accelerator, but everybody who has accelerator knows that these bosses and this Necromancer would have been gone by now. Look what I'm getting out of this. Pew pew pew. Nothing. It's actually pathetic. Like Paintballer would have probably the same level of efficiency, probably better. Let's get this quad launcher here. Now we get some more damage out of it. Now this thing's doing 20 DPS. I only had to spend the price of like over a level 3 accelerator, I think. That's literally twice the price of Engineer, but the Engineer does similar damage. Wait, the rockets. Okay, they're not even strong. They did like 12 damage to that. Let's see. They're missing. Okay, now let me max this out here. Now, I've spent $22,000 on it. Like, okay, has to be good, right? Let's look at these bosses. Engineer, of course, doing pretty good. But now let's look at this. Let's look at the rocket damage. I'm concerned. Well, it's something. It's not really amazing. The explosion radius is kind of tiny. But my god, for the price of $22,000, let me look at that rocket damage. Oh, it's just not good. I know I'm not giving it like a really thick horde, but how often in TDS is there really going to be a really thick horde? Not all the time. And also, nothing. It gives you no benefits. There's no hidden detection, no lead penetration. Well, I guess the missile counts. No flying detection. There's just no good reason to use this thing. Your money is so much better spent. If you need splash, get a mortar. If you need DPS, literally anything else. Like, until max level, this thing is barely good, and even on max level, it's just not the pick. The worst event tower, I don't know how it compares to Archer or like Swarmer, but I don't really hear people complaining about those. But I do hear people complaining about Commando, that this thing desperately needs a buff, and I would agree. But I can see why this would be farther down on the list for the devs to buff, because, well, it's an event tower that only people from 5 years ago would have. So yeah, it's understandable. Now the next tower I have to put it on this round because we have a hidden boss. It's the turret. Here goes the turret. Let me just upgrade it. First off, I just gotta say, the devs did a perfect job on this skin. But let me just place the turret back again. So let's see this damage. I paid $4,000 for it, and I mean, it's okay. It has decent range. I wouldn't like say it's a complete waste of money. It's not like this, because this was a complete waste of money. But still, not the most worth it. Now, first upgrade, kind of good. Second upgrade, holy, what is this balancing? I am more than doubling my damage for like only half the price of the turret. But except this one now also has hidden detection and lead detection. Like, yeah, that's a little weird how just one upgrade could just be so much better. This one doubles its fire rate and increases its range, which is technically a little bit less efficient than just getting down another turret, but you do it anyways for convenience purposes. By the way, I'm just max engineer here just to get some more machine sentries, just get good DPS in here to not have to worry about all of this. But yeah, I'm not really all that concerned with these upgrades. Look, here's max level turret. This thing, look at its damage. It's alright. My issue is, well, first of all, look at the amount of space these turrets take up. Oh my god, I just took up this with 4 turrets. Okay, I placed them not great, but you get the point. Their placement size is like, is that bigger than a farm's? I think it might be. Let me just compare it with a normal tower here, like, yeah, they're considerably bigger. And the fact you can only place 5 turrets? First of all, you can place 6 engineers that do 400 DPS. You can place only 5 turrets, meaning even less, that don't even do half the DPS of the engineer. Yes, these turrets don't cost 2,500 gems, but let me just say this. You unlock these at level 50. You know what you also have by level 50? A minigunner. And the funny thing is, a minigunner gets you almost as much DPS as a turret. A golden mini, I'm pretty sure, gives you more DPS than a turret. And guess the placement limit for golden mini? None. You can place as many golden minis as you want. Yes, they're a golden tower, okay? But even normal mini, you can place as many as you want. So when it comes to either having 5 max level turrets, or as many maxed out minis as you want, that take up less space, by the way. You know how that ends up for the turret? Not really good. And as much as I love this tower, look how cool this looks. This is just amazing. As much as I love it, I unfortunately can't really use it for anything. Unless I'm just trying to mess around, play something easy, I would never use the turret because it's just so bad. With a placement limit of 5, this is one of the lowest in the game. You definitely would expect it to be some sort of monster powerhouse of a tower. Not really, though. Minigunner can literally outdo it for a cheaper price. Okay, the only thing this thing has going for it is its range. Still, though, what I would do is make these much more, like, beefy. If I could balance, I'd turn these things into absolute juggernauts that do something like 500 DPS. Just have some crazy range. But I'd make them expensive because, well, that's how turret is supposed to be. It's just supposed to be this beefy juggernaut that you can only place a few of and they take up a lot of space. So, yeah, I would just make them way stronger. Now, our final tower, and I think this one just needs a buff most critically, is the Necromancer. Like, oh my goodness. Do I even have to explain why? Let me max this thing out real quick. I'm paying $45,000. $45,000. So think about max level accelerator, and let's just see what we get. Let me just sell this turret, so these turrets, so they don't do so much damage. Look, this DPS. This is not an accelerator. No, it is not an accelerator. Now, yeah, there's the graves it spawns. Let me just spawn it in. What is the chance that we get something good? 65 HP. 65 HP. 65. Yep. You know, the only good skeleton from this thing is the Executioner skeleton, which has a really strong axe and it has 3000 HP. What's funny, though, is that unless you have good RNG, you're not getting this Executioner skeleton. But alright, I mean, we gotta be able to at least place, like, you know, like 8 of them or something, right? Have a good amount, because it was a gem tower, right? So it technically did require more than a lot of event towers did. So let's just get down our Necromancers. Oh, only 3. So yeah, this is 3. I have 40 towers to work with, and you give me 3. Like, that just fits in so terribly into a loadout. You're not utilizing your placement spaces at all. Let me get down all of these Necromancers. I guess they kind of attack cool. And I mean, I really think everybody has already heard this about the issues with Necromancer. Let me just spawn 3 sets of graves in. Give me an Executioner. Oh, there, we actually got 2. But like, I'm literally playing on Molten mode, and like, all of that power that these guys have been building up in their graves just got wiped out by like a speedy boss. This is not Fallen. This is nothing difficult, and well, you can see it. It's not the best. Again, for a gem tower that was limited time, this is horrible. Consider the fact I'm also playing on a good map. On some maps, you can only work with stuff like this, where the spawning range of it is close to the attack range. So basically, it'll be spawning its stuff right into the enemies. By the way, let me just get some towers down so that I don't lose here. It's going to be engineers, of course, because anything that's not an engineer, well, in this loadout, considering that I've been talking about them all needing a buff, yeah, they're not going to handle the Molten boss. But there you go, there's all my engineers. Even though I think they need a buff, you're still going to get pretty decent results from them. Yeah, on a scale of least needing a buff to most needing a buff, I would say engineers in last. Like, TDS has had engineer for a while. Nobody's really been complaining that much about it. That one probably needs it the least. Then I would say turret. Again, people have been fine without it. Then would be commando, because of how abhorrently terrible it is. And of course, most importantly, Necromancer, because this thing, not only is it not good for what it is, it's just not good at all. And we beat Molten. To no one's surprise, I guess. But yes, developers, hopefully these towers get buffed soon. And hopefully you like, subscribe, use star code E, and then show up to the next video. I'll see ya.